Hello, in this video we're going to talk about descending pathways, focusing on the corticospinal tract. Now this tract is one of the main descending tracts controlling muscle contraction in the periphery. It originates in the motor cortices of the brain and it projects to the periphery via the spinal cord. It is the tract that's responsible for the voluntary control of muscles in the limbs and the postural muscles in the trunk. There are two neurons in the pathway. The first is the upper motor neuron that projects from the motor cortex to the spinal cord via the internal capsule. This neuron synapses with a second lower motor neuron in the ventral horn of the spinal cord grey matter. The lower motor neuron then projects to the relevant muscles in the periphery via the spinal nerve, ending in a neuromuscular junction. Now it's important to remember that the corticospinal tract decussates, that is, it crosses the midline. And so the upper motor neuron projects to the contralateral lower motor neuron, and so controls contraction of the contralateral muscle fibres. The corticospinal tract originates in all of the motor cortices of the cerebrum, including the primary, supplementary, and the premotor cortices. Axons from all these regions coalesce and descend to form part of the internal capsule, passing between the thalamus and the lentiform nucleus. The fibres descend through the midbrain and pons and form a large bundle on the ventral surface of the medulla oblongata, the pyramids. Decussation happens at the caudal end of the pyramids, at the junction of the medulla and the spinal cord. It is at this point that the corticospinal tract splits into two branches which innervate two different sets of muscles that perform two different functions. Now about 85% of the fibres decussate and descend on the contralateral side of the spinal cord as the lateral corticospinal tract, the LCST. These fibres innervate the proximal and distal muscle of the limbs, and so are responsible for the movement of the arms and the legs. The remaining 15% of fibres descend on the ipsilateral side of the spinal cord as the anterior corticospinal tract, the ACST. These fibres decussate in the spinal cord and innervate the axial muscles of the trunk, and so are responsible for posture and balance, although there is some innervation of the proximal muscles of the limbs. These fibres contribute to the course control of limb movement.